Right, without using a calculator, determine the exact value of the following. Verify with a calculator. 2 to the minus 3. I hate negative exponents, so when I see one, it's always the first thing I try to get rid of. 2 to the minus 3, the negative means I shouldn't be here, I'm on the other side of this fraction, please flip me. That's the same as this, 1 over 2 to the third. That's a small improvement. And now 2 to the third means 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. So that's a nice place to stop. You could divide this, you could do 1 divided by 8 and you'll get 0.125. And if you verify on a calculator, that's probably what it will give you. But 1/8 is a nice exact value too. 9 to the 3 over 2. When you have a fractional exponent, that means two things. It means take 9. This top number is the power they want you to put it to, and the bottom number is the root. So this is telling you to do two things at once. It means take 9, square root it, and then cube the result. Or, if you'd rather, take 9, cube it, and then square root the result. It doesn't matter in what order you do those, really. So I'm going to do the root first, and then I will cube what's left. So second root, third power. I'm doing it in this order because when you take a root, the number becomes smaller, which is nice. If I start with 9 to the third power, I have to go 9 times 9 is 81 times 9 is 729, which is getting uncomfortably big. And so it's generally easier to do these if you begin with the root. So the square root of 9 is 3, or technically negative 3, I guess. I'm going to cover myself and say that 9 to the 1/2 is either plus or minus 3. And then that's to the third power. So our finished answer should be plus or minus 3 to the third, which is 27. I'll come back to this. There's some kind of fussy information about fractional powers that I will tell you if you're interested in it, but I'll leave it out for those of you who don't care. 25 to 0th power, 1. Anything to the 0th power equals 1. Anything to, if it's negative and it's to the 0th power, that still equals 1. Absolutely anything to the 0th power turns into a 1, with one exception. 0 to the 0th power is undefined. We actually don't know what that is. We won't normally try to get you at this one, but we will give you all kinds of weird stuff to the 0th power, and we expect you to know that that reduces to simply 1. And finally, 16 to the minus 1/2. 3 separate pieces here. The negative means flip me. The 1 means put me to the first power, which is pointless. Everything's to the first power unless otherwise stated. And the 2 means take my second root. So 16 to the minus 1/2 is the same as 1 over 16 to the 1/2, which means 1 over 16. The square root is 4 or minus 4. And then the first power doesn't really change anything, so you get 1 over plus or minus 4. Or a nicer way to write that is just plus or minus 1/4. Now, if you don't want to hear some kind of nerdy extra detail, you can pause the video stop the video right now, but I just want to get into this. The second root of a number normally has two values. It has a positive value or a negative value. So 16 to the 1/2 could be either 4 or negative 4, because either one of these, if you square it, will give you back 16. So this is a valid result. Back here, when I did the square root of 9, I actually committed a minor crime here by using that symbol. I should have put 9 to the 1/2, and that's how you get plus or minus 3. The distinction is this symbol, when we say this is the square root, this is actually the positive square root. So if you say something like that, that actually just means 3. This means only the positive square root. But if you have 9 to the 1/2, that has two values. In fractional questions like this, whenever you have a 2, you're going to say square root, and I do it too. And you may even write this symbol out of habit, but we kind of shouldn't be. We should be writing 9 to the 1/2, because this symbol only means the positive root. And as you go further on in math, more and more often you're going to run into questions where this plus or minus actually matters, where the positive and negative answers are two separate things and they both make sense. So try to train yourself out of using the root symbol when you're doing these questions. You may not be able to, I kind of haven't, but do keep in mind definitely that when you do a second or a fourth or a sixth root of a number, there should be two possible values. In some questions, the negative, like if you're doing how big is the picture frame or how many cookies does each kid get, the negative answer is not going to make sense, and so you can safely ignore it. But there are questions in physics and in just abstract algebra where the negative answer makes perfect sense and you need to count it. So if you're doing the second root of 9, plus or minus 3. Second root of 16, plus or minus 4. Fair enough?